When you're through fooling around and you're ready to get shit done, the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 is the super shoe that means business. There's no messing around with this one. Let's get busy. First off, just look at it. This muted purple colorway and these chevron cutouts in the heel kind of resembles a shark, doesn't it? Which wouldn't surprise me if that's what they were going for. Because you know what happens to a shark when it stops swimming. It sinks, and some will even die. Not unlike my worst nightmare in the open waters, the Pro 4s demand constant motion. How does it do that? Well, the fit is streamlined and on point. There's just enough room all around the shoe for my narrow to average size feet. This honeycomb-like design of the upper is a little stretchy and allows great airflow, which is nice because it does fit relatively snug. It works for me though, because with a lot of these uppers that have an integrated tongue, you do run the risk of having a little bit too much fabric. So when you do pull the laces taut, the tongue may bunch up over your foot. Honestly, I did get a little bit of that, but it didn't bother me. I think the elasticity of the fabric, the pushing and pulling of the upper eventually adjusted to my foot, so that's a big plus. Some have said it's a little too snug, so you may consider going up a half size, but for me, I think it's ideal, which is usually the case with Saucony. After all, it is a race day shoe. The laces are fairly standard, they're not nearly as stretchy or as long as the ones that are on the Speed 4, thank God. You also get this little tab on the tongue, which you can flip down or leave up depending on your day. I think it's purely for style, but in any case, I didn't get any irritation in either position. I guess you could call it sort of an Easter egg. Kind of like the 3 dots that are on the heel counter, they probably represent the same 3 aisles that are in the Saucony logo. All in all, it's a fantastic upper. Now let's dive into this new midsole. The engine powering your stride is a combination of the familiar PowerRun PB and the even more responsive PowerRun HG, which was specifically designed for the Endorphin Elite. This year, all the tech has trickled down their line. For example, Saucony upgraded the Triumph from PowerRun Plus, their lower tier foam, which had good rebound but didn't feel that soft. Now that shoe inherits the PowerRun PB, like in the Speed 4, which I found has equally good response but with a much softer landing. Then there's this, the Pro 4, which has a combination of their best foams to give you more rebound. The combo of the two provides even more propulsion. And I like that it's got a little more stack than the Speed 4 to get you through the longer distances. There's 39.5 millimeters in the heel and 31.5 millimeters in the toe for an 8 millimeter drop, which I find is exactly where I like it. I already enjoy the Speed 4, but the higher stack and the stiffer plate make the Pro 4s a fantastic experience. And it comes in weighing only 7.5 ounces or 212 grams for my men's size 8.5. That's very competitive. Nonetheless, given that it is an all-new blend, they didn't end up with something as squishy or as lively as some of the other super shoes out there. Maybe that's the function of the carbon plate, which you can see right here, like where it's positioned or the shape of it. But still, the result does make for a powerful ride and one that's equally stable. The Pro 4 is built for business. It's pure performance without the nonsense. And that's what I love about this shoe. You don't have to be a mid to 4 foot striker or running sub 3 marathons to get the most out of this shoe. By the way, if you hear a brand make that kind of claim, just run the other way. I also have to point out that the Speed Roll technology has a very smooth transition, especially at marathon and faster paces. And yet, somehow I find that it works just as well on slow, easy runs. Not that you'd want to, but it's actually a shoe I think you can use to walk around doing errands. Someone asked me that once about a different carbon-plated shoe. Until now, I would have said that's highly unlikely. In my opinion, that makes the Endorphin Pro 4 easily the most versatile super shoe out there on the market, and the most accessible for the widest variety of runners. Of course, on the flip side of all that, I admit, the fun factor is a little lacking. There isn't that sense of teetering on the edge of control like you get in the Hoka Cielo X1s or even the Alphafly 3s. It is more stable at both fast and slower paces. But like I said, this shoe's all business. If you want to lollygag around a marathon, you better look somewhere else. Finally, how is all this midsole kept intact? Well, it's got the same lattice design on the outsole as the Endorphin Speed 4s, which really hug the road. And so far, it appears to be very durable. I tend to heel strike on the lateral edge, but even after more than 115 miles, you can still see that there's definition in the heel. I'm not worried about this going bald anytime soon. Yep, that's right. I already put 115 miles on this and I'm about to rack up another 26.2. Why? Because I'm running the San Diego Marathon in the Endorphin Pro 4s. This is my weapon of choice for my very first marathon. Originally, I did want something a little more unique and memorable, but when push came to shove, of all the super shoes I tested, This was the only one that didn't cause me any problems with my feet. I've come to realize that for my initial attempt, I just want to finish with the least amount of pain if that's possible. So I'm not looking for anything distracting or frivolous or extra. I simply want great cushioning and a snappy, propulsive turnover for as long as it takes to reach the finish line. And the Pro 4s are meant for just that, making sure the job gets done right. And they're so flexible that I could do all my runs in them, from easy up to a time 5K, and of course those long hard slogs during peak training. If your main focus is to get through a marathon, then I highly suggest the Endorphin Pro 4s. Like those great whites, they're built to keep you on the attack from start to finish, without sinking to the bottom. Ride or run, let's get it done.